In this video, I'll be reviewing the all-new LEGO Fortnite Peely Bone set, which is a giant buildable model of the Fortnite skin of the same name. Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is set number 77072, Peely Bone from the LEGO Fortnite theme. This set contains 1,414 pieces, 0 minifigures, and will retail for $99.99 in the US. This set does not officially release until October 1st, 2024, but it was gifted to me early for review by the LEGO Group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. I'm doing full reviews of all the new LEGO Fortnite sets right now. In fact, there should already be some up on the channel. So if you enjoy this and you want to see more, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know in the comments which set you want to see reviewed next. But now, with all that being said, let's get into the review. So Peely Bone, this is a very weird set because it's just a question of why does it exist? I got to interview the LEGO Fortnite design team, and they also talk about this a little bit in the instructions, but this originally started out as a gift. Someone just made it as a personal gift to somebody else, but then the design team liked it so much they decided to develop it into a full set. Part of that too is Peely is just a very popular character, and the Peely Bone variant specifically is like a more interesting build than any of the other variants would be. So with that explanation, I do get it, even still it just comes off as a little weird to me. It's one of only 4 LEGO Fortnite sets that exist. It's $100 for a niche variant of a skin and like a giant buildable statue. So conceptually, I find this set very strange, and honestly, I think that's my biggest limiting factor in, like, recommending this to people. It's just, like, do you need it? Because I'm so happy LEGO Fortnite exists, but this is the same price as the Battle Bus, and you get so much in that set. However, with all that being said, this set's actually fantastic. It's a really incredible model. So for as weird of a set as it is, they did about as good as they possibly could. So let me move up a little bit closer to show you the more specific details. First, the entire model's built on, like, this black stand, which is brick built itself. I like the rounded edges on this, that's pretty neat. And there's a little placard at the front that says Peely Bone. It's got the LEGO Fortnite logo on it. And that is actually a printed part, not a sticker, which is always nice to see. It matches the style of other prints from other themes, so it could look really good on a shelf. Moving on to the actual model though, Peely's left foot is built on top of a little bit of terrain, and that's actually a pretty cool detail. It helps make the 2 legs more varied, because obviously this one has to be bent a little bit to accommodate for that terrain, so the entire pose feels a lot more dynamic and alive. And I love how varied the terrain is too, nice mixture of like rock and grass and everything. Peely's foot does use a few interesting pieces. This is like a classic LEGO phone piece to be his heel. That's very silly, but I kinda love that, and that might actually be a new color for that part, I'm not sure. There's also these pieces at the front, which this is my first time seeing them. I assume they probably come from like Speed Champions, because this feels like a Speed Champions type piece. Doesn't feel super like LEGO, but I think that's just me adjusting to a new part. And I do have to admit, it does make up that shape perfectly. Coming to the leg, I do think this is the weakest part of the entire build, but that's not to say it's bad by any means. It's just everything else in the build's pretty much perfect, so this not looking completely perfect kinda stands out to me. They use these LEGO Mario pieces to sort of define Peely's muscles, and I like that in theory, but it comes off looking like a little blobby. Obviously, Peely's a giant walking banana, so he doesn't have to look 100% realistic, but things here do look a little bit off when comparing him to his in-game model. It's close enough that it still looks good, don't get me wrong, but I'd be curious to see if anybody could redesign this to make it smooth all over rather than having the few studs in here as well as all these rounded pieces. If it was one continuous shape like the body, which we'll see in a moment, I think that would look better. Coming to the other foot, this is the skeleton side of Peely, so it's meant to look like it's made out of bone. I love the way they did the toes at the front with like these little hinge pieces. They work absolutely perfectly. And I think it's really cool just like how thin and open this entire structure is. They use a lot more Technic here, which creates some nice variation between this leg and the other one. This like bent rubber part of the back makes a very nice shape too. Of course, at the top of the leg we get to the body, and on like the skeleton side of everything, I really love some of the parts that they use. Again, this side uses a lot more Technic than the other side, but they use these paneling pieces, which work surprisingly well. I especially love this one down here. It like perfectly frames this pink bit down here, which I'm actually not sure if that's meant to be just like guts or if that's Peely's brain. Because either way, that's very low on his body, and even looking at pictures of the official skin, I'm not sure. I think it's his brain, but then there's also a little bit of pink used in the construction of the head, like inside of everything, so I'm not sure. But anyway, point is that Technic piece fits in perfectly to be like the skeleton holding that part of his body. On the banana side, obviously visually everything is a lot more simple looking. It's all just very rounded and smooth. However, that's not to say that the actual construction here is simple. I think it's impressive how they hid away pretty much every single stud on this part of the build, and they really did just perfectly capture the shape of this body. Peely, of course, has the brown bruising that bananas get, and this is actually a printed part. You get it a few different times in the set. I believe this one a total of 3, one here, and then one up here right above the arm. And there's a few more printed pieces at the front to match that. This right here is an exclusive printed part, so is this. His mouth is printed, and of course his eyes are printed. This might might look a little bit funny when I'm doing, but I do appreciate that Peely's fully covered up even on the underside. They kept that shape all the way around, even when they definitely could have skimped out a little bit, like on the underside. Now, Peely does actually have a back bling on his back, which is very cool to see, because that's something from Battle Royale, not from LEGO Fortnite. So it's nice to see them sort of tap into that and not just do stuff from their game mode. But yeah, this is the Banana Back Bling. It's got 2 banana bushels on it. Those are the LEGO Super Mario pieces that were introduced a few years ago for the Donkey Kong wave. And according to the instructions, this entire structure also serves as a counterweight to like all the weapons at the front, which is pretty neat. Then at the very top of this section, we have the little peeled part of the banana, because of course this is Peely. Very smart use of this part to represent the peeled banana. That's typically used for like windscreens and sometimes like roof coverings and stuff. So obviously this is a very different application of that part, but it fits really well. And from that peeled part, we have a little bit of tan to represent the inside of the banana. And I think it's quite cool how like this is all studs while everything else is so smooth. It keeps this feeling like a LEGO model while also representing the difference in texture between the outside and the inside of a banana. Moving back over to the skeleton side, I absolutely love where the studs are placed on this side of the build. They're coming like out to the left of the yellow side rather than building upwards. And that gives this such a cool look because it makes it really feel like the banana part of Peely was just chopped in half. It makes it very easy to build off of too. The ribcage here is a quite cool design. They use that like newer opposing piece that was introduced in LEGO Marvel last year in the Avengers Tower. It's just a transparent clear piece and it has all these modules attached to it. For the back of the ribs too, they use a little white hot dog pieces, which is very funny but very effective as well. There's a spine that runs up the back too with like a very creative design to it. And then the skull at the very top I think is perfect. It's like the perfect mixture of cartoony and realistic, because they didn't just do like a Lego head skull. Like this looks like it is meant to represent an actual human skull, or I guess banana skull. But it's still very rounded, very cutesy. It definitely fits with the other half of Peely. I think it looks great from pretty much every angle. This side of Peely does have a jaw that can hinge open, which is a cool touch. Obviously the mouth on the other side can't move because it's just constantly open. It's a printed piece, but I like that that little bit of motion is there. And then finally at the very top of this side, they use boomerang pieces to represent more bones like going up to the top of the banana. Once again, very creative use of that part. I think they fit in surprisingly well. At the very top of Peely's head, there's a banana sticker right here, and that's actually the only sticker in the entire set. And when I was putting this together, I was like, that's so weird. Why isn't that printed like everything else? In fact, I was a little bit disappointed by that. But then I went back and like read the little blurb in the instructions, and apparently this was actually intentional, because this is literally meant to be a sticker like the stickers you find at a banana in the store. So they thought, why would you print the sticker when the sticker could be an actual sticker? And as much as I love prints, that's pretty funny. I do appreciate that. And it does fit in quite nicely. Finally, we have the arms and the accessories, starting with the yellow arm right here. Right off the bat, something I appreciate about this is it's actually entirely yellow. There's no like helper colors here. Often in LEGO sets, when you have a complex structure like this, there will be other colors involved. Like for example, joints a lot of the time are white or gray or black. I believe this is an all new recolor for the joints though. I think yellow is new. And yeah, it is yellow from top to bottom. They didn't even put any brown in here. For me at least, that gives this set major points because there's no awkward colors in here. Everything is very deliberate, very intentional, and it looks quite good. I like the use of this piece at the top to represent a little bit of muscle. It makes everything look fairly organic. I will say this is one of the more robotic parts of the design, just like the one leg, but considering what LEGO is and how it works, I think this is about as good as they could get it. And if you couldn't tell, there is actually articulation on the arm. That joint can actually move, so you can move the arm up and down as well as like rotate it out if you want. And the wrist connects on 2 clips and that can rotate too. Now this connection's another one of the weakest parts of the build because the weapon that's in his hand is actually very heavy. So if you're moving things around too much, it's very easy for that to fall off, as you just saw. It's not the end of the world, like it's a strong enough connection. If you have this on a shelf, it's not going to fall off. But if you're actively trying to pose this and move it around, yeah, that's something you have to be aware of. The other thing is the weight of the weapon can sometimes create a little bit of drift. So if I try to like aim it this way, it's just going to fall back into place because yeah, it's just too heavy. That's not the end of the world because like in terms of posing, the default orientation is what looks best, but it just gives you less options than you otherwise might think you have. The weapon itself though is apparently a paint shooter, and I think this actually looks quite good. I like the 2 handles it has. There's this nice pipe that brings the paint from this tank in the back to the front. There's some really cool printed pieces here too with that like paint splatter on it and those little lights. And you can see right here it's loaded up with like 6 different types of paint. Coming to the other arm on the other side, this is obviously a lot thinner because it's meant to be more skeletal, but I think visually this actually looks a lot better. Again, everything here is actually white. There's little bits of black in here, but it's black. It's not like blue or red or anything, so it fits in quite well. There's a little brown piece in the back, which is a cool touch. I guess the banana aspects on this side are not entirely gone. And then his fingers on the end are more claw-like, while he had rounded fingertips on the other hand. This hand holds the Peely Pick Pickaxe, and it's essentially a stick with a banana on the end. I love the way they did the banana, though. It's actually somewhat similar to the banana car in the LEGO Minions sets from earlier this year. I believe they also use this part up here. But what I really like about it is how the banana is actually open at the end, so obviously this is tan right here. And then we have a really cool part recolor that it uses. You get a total of 3 of it in this set. It's this fern piece, but now in yellow. That's the newer, larger fern, too, that I believe has only come in sets, like, as of this year? Or was it last year it came out? Either way, definitely a newer piece that we have not seen seen in this color before. But it works great to represent an open banana, and it's a super cool new color for that part. Just like with the other hand, this one does struggle with weight a little bit. The pickaxe is lighter than the paintball gun, so it's not like as big of an issue, but also this hand's thinner than the other one. So yeah, you can see as I move that up, the hand sort of fell down. Depending on how you want to post this, you do sometimes have to battle with gravity. And yeah, if you're too rough with it, again, that one can fall off too. So something to be aware of, but this is meant to be a display model, not a play model. And so far, from my experience, I've not had this fall apart just like on a shelf. And I think that's about everything I have to show you for Peely Bone. So overall, what are my thoughts on this set? Well, as I said at the beginning, I do actually think this set is really, really good. Like, genuinely, if they're going to make a Peely Bone, they did about as good of a job as they could. This thing looks fantastic from every single angle, and it's genuinely a super impressive model. I love Fortnite, I love LEGO Fortnite, I'm super happy the theme exists. But then everything just comes back to that original question of why? Because at the end of the day, this is $100, and this is a very niche product to be selling for $100. Obviously, LEGO sent me this one for review, and I'm super grateful for that. I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to build a set like this. But I'm being honest with you guys, if LEGO didn't send it to me, I probably would not have bought this one. And that's not because I dislike the set or I think they did a bad job. It's just that's a lot of money for Peely Bone of all things, you know? And I'm not even saying the value's bad. Like, based on what you get in the set, yeah, it feels like a $100 set. It's 1,400 pieces. That's really good. It's just, I don't know, a really weird set conceptually. So in terms of recommending it, I guess it's up to you guys. What do you actually want from a LEGO set? If you're just looking for a cool, fun model and you're enough of a fan of Fortnite and you have expendable income, then yeah, get this set. It's a really good build. But if you're on a bit more of a budget and you can only get certain sets, honestly, I'd recommend the Battle Bus way before I recommend this one. Because while this build is just as good, if not better, the Battle Bus is just so much more desirable of a set. I think something that would have really helped this set is including a minifigure, because most sets like this include a minifigure version of whatever the statue's of. Like if you look at LEGO Star Wars, we got the Chewbacca, which came with a Chewbacca minifigure. We got R2-D2, which also came with an R2-D2 minifigure. Peely Bone, though, it's just the model. There is no Peely Bone minifigure. Now, when I was talking to the design team, they said that's because they put the entire minifigure budget into the Battle Bus, which, yeah, that's very obvious. The Battle Bus is amazing in terms of minifigures, but unfortunately, it does leave this set feeling a little incomplete. Because I think genuinely throwing a minifigure in here would up the desirability of this so much. It still would be a weird thing to make a set out of, but then it would be like, hey, you get an exclusive minifigure here. If you want a complete LEGO Fortnite collection, you will need this set. As it stands, though, it's really missing that, like, one factor that would help me recommend it to everybody. So yeah, overall, really love this set. I think it's a fantastic model. I just don't know if you necessarily need it. But of course, those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to my channel if you're new. And go check out my other LEGO Fortnite reviews. There should be a full playlist link in the description below. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!